Yes. Well, yes. Without further ado, I would like to I'd like to welcome Beverly and Laura, who are a champion partnership. Beverly's also a judge, and Laura, are you a judge yet?
Subsidiary, yeah.
So you're a subsidiary now. Oh, marvellous. That's great. Because we're apparently a bit short of judges, so so the BS told me the other week. So that's marvellous that that you've joined the judging clan. So yeah, well, I think we'll just get on with it, and maybe I could ask Mum first to give us a bit of history about herself first, because she's been in the budgie game longer than you, Laura, and then maybe together you can then, you know, as she gets to that point when you were born and you started to crawl around the bird room, she could then bring you in. So would that be okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you started, as much as you can, and then we'll go from there.
Right, good evening, everyone. It's really great to see some familiar faces. This is a first for me. I've done many talks and lectures over my time, but COVID has a lot to answer for. And some of you may think, why am I not doing the through the keyhole with Laura in our bird room? Well, I'm afraid I'm in self-isolation at the moment due to coming into contact with someone who's tested positive. So Laura's at home and I'm in our bird room with just the birds, hence why I don't have to wear this, because I wear this around my dearly beloved husband, so he stays safe. So it's been a bit of a trying time, but COVID's done that to us all. Well, for those of you that don't know me, I joined the BS in 1974. When I was going to go as a junior, I was in partnership with my dear father. And instead of going into partnership with him, I went into junior, I went into partnership with him. I often said it was because he never wanted to be beaten by me. So the best way was to have me on board. So I have been around birds, feathered variety, for virtually all my life. Dad had birds in the early 50s and went out when we moved house. I was 5 and my brother had just come along and we moved house, and he sold his bird and moved house. And I think like so many fanciers, it was that period in time where you have to juggle both, and he couldn't afford to keep the birds as well as a new house and a young family. So the birds went. But he never, ever lost that passion. He'd never go to a show because he'd want birds. And Mum, in her wisdom, in the early 70s, said, you need some more birds. And we put a place up. Small wooden shed, 9 breeding cages. And like many of us, that evolves. And you add bits, and it got very cluttered. And we used to spend a lot of time in the bird room, and it was a working partnership. We had our roles, and we decided that we would put a brick place up. So it was about 1979, I would say, early 80s. We put a brick place up, which consisted of 48 breeding cages and a massive outdoor-indoor flight. And we used to hold about, I suppose we carried about 500 birds then, which was an awful lot. But when there's 2 of you working together, it's not such an onerous task. We had our specific roles. And I still love, I have loved being part of this wonderful fancy. And then in '89 I got married to my ever, he's a very wonderful husband. He knew what he was getting into because we had kind of a pact. For those that know me really well, I hate football and I hate course fishing even more. But those were just Steve's passions. So I said we made a premarital pact that if he came with me to my birth, I would support him within the football and fishing. And so that's how we've gone on, really. And then when Laura came onto the scene, we'd moved to where we are now, only about, she was 1.5 when we moved here. So I didn't put a bedroom up initially because the house we moved from was a very small one up, one down with no garden. And this house in the village we are in came on the market and it hadn't been put on an agent's website. They were looking to sell it and were going to put it on, and someone in the village said, "You need to go and have a look there. I think it's what you'd like." So we came and looked at this house, and if I never moved from this bird room, I never went in the house. I walked down the garden because the garden meant that if it was right, I could have a bird room. So whatever the condition of the house is, as long as it's structurally sound, you can make it your own, but you can't put land on to put a bird room on. So before we left, I went either side of the neighbours and said, if I put an offer into this house, have you got any objection to me putting a bird room up in the garden? Neither of them raised any objections. So we bought this house purely that I could have my bird room. So we put a bird room up at the bottom of the garden. The man who had the house before us was a keen gardener. So the electric was already run down to the bottom of the garden. There was some wooden structures, but nowhere what I wanted. So we pulled them down and I put a wooden plate up with 20 breeding cages and was there for, the best part. Well, we pulled it down in 2015, just before 2015, end of 2014, 2015. And those that know, I used to make rosettes towards the end of, and this was my workshop. And the bird room, what we put up initially, was starting to rot. And I had lost Dad by 2015, he died, and I had him come to live with me so I could take care of him, and I sold my rosette business. So this was empty, and it was a really no-brainer. By then there was no way back to the rosette, so we decided that we would take the old bird room up and convert this workshop into my bedroom, which I'm standing in today. I don't know whether you want to hand over to Laura. I'll leave her to fill in her gaps of how she came into the fancy and, you know, is that enough what you want? I don't want to bore people with the history of my path into budgerigars, but it's a fabulous hobby.
That's fabulous. No, it's really, really good, Beverly. Thank you very, very much. And yeah, we'd love to hear from Laura, from your part, where you started, Laura, where you joined Mum, I presume, or did you start on your own?
I was completely forced. No, I wasn't. I was raised around budgies. My granddad had a wonderful bird room, and I remember very much being young and going over there and seeing his birds and seeing him in his bird room. And when I remember being around 4, and I loved the baby budgies. I'd be in there all day, holding the babies and when they're in the nest. And I joined the BS in 2000, but I was well ingrained into budgies well before that. And I remember when Mum had her old bird room, me and my brother would go in and help with daily tasks, feeding, watering, cleaning out. And my brother never really took up a huge interest like I did. But I remember saying to Mum, how can I be a part of this this hobby? And she said, well, you can come into partnership with us, Grandad and Mum, and we can be a partnership. Or you can do it on your own and you can become a junior. And that's what I wanted to do. Although I'd never thought, no, I wouldn't be a partnership with Mum and Grandad ever. My aim was to do it on my own and be my own person in the hobby that I thought, oh, I could make a mark in. So I became a junior and showed as a junior for what seemed a very long time, and then moved up as soon as I could. When I was going through the junior ranks, I don't think the competition that is there now. It was very much, I'd go to shows across the country and it would be very often that I'd be on my own or exhibiting on my own. So I very quickly wanted to move up to beginner. So as soon as I could do that, I did. And once I became a beginner, I found it much more of a hobby I loved more because I had so much more competition. So my time in beginner was fantastic and I loved that. And then as I went through beginner and novice, we lost Grandad, and me and Mum have always worked very. Our birds are each, even though I exhibited as a junior and a beginner, and our birds very much worked alongside each other. Although we had different lines and different breeding setups, it was very much a team role. And when Mum lost the partnership with Grandad, I joined her. And that's enabled me to now move more forward with my judging, and I could become, I've always wanted to become a judge, so that's my now next challenge in the hobby and my new bird room. So, yeah.
I think John is speaking, and of course he's on mute.
Sorry, I don't know what else.
We'll get a break from whatever he's saying, which is great. But that's great. That was a good...
Yeah, sorry about that.
It was a pleasure, John.
George. Yeah, I thought I'd mute myself because I've got some grandchildren here tonight, and it's just like being in the bird room really with the noise. So, Laura, how far are you in the road to becoming a judge? How far have you gone?
Well, I've done a year subsidiary, but the lovely COVID has now stopped everything. So it's the 2-year subsidiary, but I'm waiting to do my second stint. So I will have three more judging assessments to do, and then I should be able to. I was due to take my test at the club show, so yeah.
Right. Okay. So it's 2 years of subsidiary, and then take your test.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you find your first year? Did you do a full year as subsidiary? And
Yeah.
and how many judging? How many did you go around and do? And are you with one judge, or do you mix and match and do different judges?
So you do three shows.
Right.
And I think each year one of them has to be an area, and then you're with the same judge, so you'll be allocated a judge at the show, and then you're involved with the whole process. So you do the judging with them from the colours they're doing, and then you go through to do the main awards, and then you go through to do the sections.
And of course, you've got a very big advantage with mum, because all the time you're with mum, you're learning, aren't you?
Yeah, so I've been.
I wouldn't call it an advantage.
No.
I wouldn't be classed as an advantage, I don't think, John. Perhaps a hindrance sometimes.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens when she starts telling you when you've made mistakes then.
She does already.
I will.
She's already there. We're already there. Do not worry.
Okay, that's fine. Well, I'm sure it'll be a quicker route to get in the, pass your judging exam anyway, with mum there in the background helping you out. It's got to be an advantage, whichever way you look at it. So, where should we go from here? Should we have a look at something? I'll tell you what, no, before we do that, let's first ask Mum, what's been your most memorable judging experience?
That's quite easy, really. Well, several. There is several. For different reasons. I think one of the highlights of mine is judging the club show for the first time. I was perhaps a little bit more fortunate than a lot of people because I, for my, I suppose, sin, or I don't know, but I was show secretary for about 3-4 years. And so it wasn't such a daunting experience because I'd had I was used to the pressure and the stress of the club show, because it isn't. That was when I was perhaps fortunate when I was club show secretary. It was at the height. There was 6,000 at the show at the Birds. So it was when it was at its height, and I knew everyone that worked within the club show office, and who put it on. So I was amongst friends. I was amongst colleagues. But I don't think anything can prepare you for the great prestige of that show. There is I suppose you liken it to the craft, to the Supreme Awards that when you're at craft, there is, that there are eyes watching you, and there are seeing how you perform. So that was one of the greatest, and I've been lucky enough to judge it three times, I think now. So that's always a great. And the other one was I was invited to judge in Lahore, out in Pakistan, and nothing prepared me for that. That was an experience, and one I will carry forever, because it was just a whole new way of. And also, I've been very lucky to judge at the national, and that's another prestige. That's when I've been to the national when it used to be at Ali Pali, and that was a big thing. But I would say the best club show must be the first time I judged it, the pinnacle of my judging.
Lovely, thank you very much indeed. Maybe we could ask Laura the same question. What, what's your biggest or best memory of your of the hobby so far? Whether it be but things you've won, maybe. So obviously you've not been judging the club show yet, but maybe tell us about your most memorable memory so far.
It was probably as a junior when there's two actually. The one was when I won the team at the club show in 2004, and that was really really wonderful for me, because in every section, if you like, because the team cage is obviously entered into a mixed section category, and yeah, I won the team for the club show, and that was really a wonderful event for me.
Fabulous. Can you remember, Laura, how many were in the were in the class? How many?
Yes, 24.
Birds, how many cages you beat? 24. Wow.
Yeah, 24 teams. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And what about any single bird wins? Any big single bird wins as a junior?
Yeah, the spring event of 2005 or 6, I think it was 5. Best junior there. Only because, well, that day, that was a very memorable show for me, because Chris Snell, I run it with a light green hen, and Chris Snell that whole day badgered me to buy this bird. But it wasn't with money, bear in mind, I was only a junior. It was with Maltesers and Galaxy and no, that was a great show. I loved that show.
Well, I want to know then, the next question, of course, did he get the bird?
He definitely did not. Yeah.
All right, so going back to Mum. So Mum, tell us about your best wins. We talked about your judging, but what about your most memorable wins?
There's been many, but while that's fresh in your memory, this, I don't know if you can see here. Can you see this photo gallery?
Yes.
There is a team that Laura won.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And, wait a minute, just bear with me. There is Quality Street, and that's her with her winning team in the bird room with her cup. So I'll put you back, because Deirdre said I needed to put the laptop high so you got a better view. So, oh my gosh, to be honest, John, I don't think memories are all about the winning, to be honest and truthful. I've got many memories. I mean, I'm going to turn the laptop again, and you can see a photograph. My bedroom is all about my life in both regards. I don't know who this woman is, but I did once look like that. But that was Best Young Bird at the LEA with a cinnamon grey green top. That was special, because that's the first Best Young Bird we ever had in show. So the first is always magical. I've still got in a box upstairs in the loft my first ever rosette we won, which was at Bury St Edmunds CBS show, which was in 1976, I think. And then, yeah, there's too many, John. So, see, there's that one. Can you see this one?
Yes.
This is Leeds. This is Leeds Town Hall, and we took best intermediate young bird there. This one here. This is best in show at Cambridgeshire. This one here is Dad and I won the Moladinia Trophy, which was the most young bird wins within the South Midlands area. And I can remember getting paralytic, so much so, because that...
I wouldn't know anything about that.
That trophy it's like a punch bowl. And that was when the BS used to move their meetings around the area society. And they had the BS dinner and we got awarded it. And we were joint winners that year with three of us. There was us, Shepherd and Price, and Bonner and Blackwood. And they'd won the award before, and they said, Bev, we want you and Dad to have this all year, because we were going to split it 3 ways during the year, so we held the trophy. And they said, no, you have it that year, but on the understanding that you let us fill it, and you can take it round to dinner and share it with everyone. Well, oh my God. I was pathetic. I was absolutely on the floor, because every time we went to one table, I had to have a drink with the table. And they filled it. They filled it with African and brandy. Oh my God, did I have a headache the next morning? It was, but that, I mean, it's not about the winning, because I think memories that are created through the interaction with fanciers, you know, we've got a common interest, and, you know, but those are some of the memories that I have down here, which I look at every day. So
wonderful. Well, thank you very much indeed for that, Bev and Laura. What I think I'd like to do now is, or like you to do, if you wouldn't mind, is maybe take us around your bird room and show us around, and then after that, maybe if it's possible, pick out some particular birds, you know, some birds that you love for whatever reason. But
well, this is going to be fun. I'm trying not to make you feel seasick, because I know what it's like when my little grandson gets hold of the bone, and it makes you feel quite ill. I'll turn it so you can see it. That flight there at present is all hens. You say? That's a recent change to the bird room, because we used to have a floor to ceiling flight, which we've altered since lockdown, because our shut cages were taking up my beloved husband's shed, and he wanted his shed back for his tools and his fishing gear. So we decided to change the flights to like a half flight, so I've got storage underneath. I got the wonderful Sam White to a cracking job he's done. If you can see it, he's done it for me just recently, and I'm chuffed to bits with it. And this is where where we've got all our cockbirds that we intend to use for the breeding. They're in there. And then these, I've kept the stock quite high, because Laura was going to hopefully have had her bird room by now, but as things are gone, she hasn't. So these are some, because I kept it quite high, so she's got some birds to keep the noise level up. So that's the other flight. I'm going to put you back up there.
I'm going to interrupt you if you don't mind, because people will be.
Yeah, that's fine.
People won't know about noise level. So you think it's very important to have a high noise level in your bird room, especially coming up to the breeding season, do you?
Well, when you contacted me, John, and asked me to do this through the Keyhole, you asked me what I wanted to talk about. I said setting up a new bird room. And the reason why I said that was because I don't think as fanciers we put enough thought into the setup of the bird room. It's a crucial thing. One, you want it easy to look after, so it doesn't become a chore. So your tasks can be less, you know, they need to be easy. My bird room is, I don't know, can you see? I can touch the ceiling like that, standing flat on the floor. Now, this bird room is geared up for me. I'm 5'1½". That half is very important. I wish I was 5 foot. 5, that would be perfect, but I'm not. I'm 5'1½", and as you get older, you shrink. So I might be 5 foot now, but I wanted it so I could walk through this bird room with a bucket and I can wipe it all. I haven't got to climb a step ladder. I haven't got to stand on a box. It's easy maintenance. And I think you need, when you come into a fancy, I believe you've got lots of beginners and novices within your club.
Correct.
So I think it's a crucial thing. It's where you start. Birds are fine, but you want it to be easy, and you have to think about how you're going to keep them. If you can, I'll turn it again. The breeding cages are all split up and cleaned down. They're ready to go. They've just got to be put together. We only have 15, but there's a reason for that. I can look after 15 cages properly and well. Budgerigars are a big part of my life, but they're not my whole life. So they need, and I've always had that ethos. When the children came along, I wanted the birds to fit around the children. So that was a consideration when I was doing my birds and when I was pairing up, and I wanted it to work alongside. But you're dead right, John. It is very, very important to have that noise level. You do need, they're a flock bird, and they need that stimulation. So if you can see how we've got this centre, there's my cages, or cages, and there's flights here, and there's flights over here. So there's that circular, at all times they can see other birds. I think it's crucial. My bird room, or our bird room, is always noisy, and you do need that.
Excellent. We've got some questions have come in. Some people have asked, what varieties do you keep? What are your favourite varieties? All that kind of thing, really.
A good one. I don't care what it is, as long as it's a good one. I like it. I love budgies. it doesn't really matter what, but I tend, Dad and I were noted for our Enos, our Lutinos, and towards the end, the albinos. They were always at Dad. I have got a very soft spot for a Lutino. Not that many in here, because as you know, Dad had the majority of the loots at his, and my bird room wasn't as big as his, so I couldn't really keep the two going as I liked. And as he got iller, he still had the birds there because they were an important part of him, keeping him, giving them a purpose for the day, really, to be honest and truthful. So he had all the Enos because they were easier and he didn't have to spot them and things like that. And I took the normals. But I don't think you can beat a nice light green. I do have a soft spot for a cinnamon. I do love cinnamons. I think cinnamons are a wonderful bird. But I like Lutinos, I do. If you said to me, Lutina, I like a good lute. Oh, you can't beat a good lute. So I'd say a lute and a cinnamon.
Right.
What about Laura? Do you have a favourite, Laura, or are you the same? Or you just like a good one as well?
Yeah, no, I like a good budgie, but a lot of the dark factors you'll see in the shed are my my lines. I as with any variety that you have as a favourite, I think the more you really want it and try and breed it, the less you get of it, which is annoying. So I absolutely love a dark factor yellowface, and my aim for my new shed is that I'm going to have what I want as the best dark factor yellowface, and I will have that one day. So yeah, I love dark factors.
That's good. So your new shed, do you have a sort of a plan how big it's going to be? How many birds you're going to keep? How many birds are you going to let your mum take from you? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I've eyed up ones I'm going to be pinching, but no. So yeah, I've recently moved into a new house, and my old house was a new build, and as we know with new builds, you don't get any garden at all. So unfortunately, in my first house, I wasn't able to have anything. So the reason I've stayed in the hobby that period of time would be because of Mum. But I've just bought a new house, and it's actually got a lovely converted garage. So the person that owned the house before converted the garage into an office, and I am going to change that into a bird room. It's brick built, heated, water, fantastic. I just got to kit it out, which again is another whole other setting up a brand new bird room for the first time. What do you do? Yeah. So
put in a sink and a dishwasher. That's my advice.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've got so many ideas, and it's making it the right one because it's important. So yeah, it's not massive. I've got scope to extend it also, but I'm well chuffed with what I've got to start out with. So
how many cages? Mum's trying to get in there. Go on, Mum.
Does Bill know that you want to extend it?
Not yet. He can't hear me.
So, Laura, how many cages can you get in this new bedroom at the moment?
I'm hoping I'll get 24.
Okay, yeah, that's a good number.
Yeah. Again, I work, and I've got a little boy, and yeah, it has to be. I'm not going in with 80 breeding cages for sure. So it'll be something that again works with my life. So
yeah, that's good.
How old is your little boy?
He's 2.5.
Well, so I have a 3-year-old, and I've learnt that the bottom row of cages, not the floor ones, because they were always unusable anyway, the ones on the floor, but my next row up are also unusable because the 3-year-old lets them all out.
Oh,
goes
right,
round
yeah.
and opens every nest box. Look, Daddy, eggs, chicks, and then
Oh,
they
no.
all fly out. And that's
Yeah.
happened several times. So just a
Oh,
word of warning, you might want to raise everything up a bit.
yeah.
Or get the padlocks out.
Well, he's already caused havoc at Mum's, so yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we should go back to Mum and let Mum let us see a few of the birds that you've got there. I see you've got a few ready to show us. Some of your own, no doubt, and some of Laura's, I suspect.
No, I have nothing to. I will not enter a word about Laura's. No.
So all the
I'm
good
not
ones are
even
yours.
going there. No,
All the good ones are yours anyway.
no, we're a team in every sense of the word. When I was speaking to George, I outlined what the plan was. I've only caught a few birds up. I'll do it so you don't see me. I'll go on the top and then I'll go on the, if I can get them first. Come on up, boys. These are some of the birds that when I'm in self-isolation, I'm hoping that Laura will be able to come over and we can get these paired up. This one's come up on the perch. Just bear with me and I'll get a stick. Come on up, fella.
While you're getting that stick, Bev,
Yeah.
do you, your cages are obviously very nearly ready. Will you be pairing up with the ring dates in mind?
No, I'm just pairing up. They're on the perch. Now,
Right.
father and son there. This was a bird I brought in. This is a youngster, young hen. These at the bottom are two young hens. That's an adult hen. They're two adult cocks that I had some of the other part of this year. And that is another old cock. Now,
Can I ask you, Bev, can I ask you to go back to the beginning and maybe get a little bit closer on the bird and do your best to hold your laptop as still as you can.
okay.
Let people, hopefully it will focus a little bit and people will see, they can see the obviously quality of those birds. That's really good. Yeah, it's a good shot there. I mean, other people have their own view, but the cockbird on the left there, the green, love the directional feather there. But anyway, carry on. Let's see them all.
Now that's this is all one family. I'm hoping when Laura's. Can you see that? Is that okay? Because I can't see it.
Yeah. It's a job to focus, but we can only do what we can do. Best bet is just get your laptop as close as possible and just hold it as still as possible, and then it should focus, which it's doing now.
Okay.
That's perfect.
I'm going to bring them forward. So as I said, this was a crate we bought in.
Can I ask why?
Well, it was one of Harry Hotterday's, and it was I'd been to Harry several times, and it was one that was linked to ones I'd purchased before. These are the same family, the Hockaday line. Is that still enough? I paired these up. I didn't get many from these early on, but they're both fertile. I want some more from them. That's this year's young hen. This isn't. adult hen. Another, she's an adult hen.
Like that back skull.
Yeah, I like that on her. That's a baby hen. And this light green here is her father.
From what I'm seeing, and you'll tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm seeing some sort of what I would call English budgies, and some with a little bit of a continental look about their
Yeah,
head.
well, that's the Harry Hockaday influence.
Yes.
Because of, I'm just going to move these back, sorry. Yeah, so, yeah, but they're all kind of one family. And I just thought it would be a nice, perhaps, way of getting people involved on your meeting to say what they think, how they would put their birds together.
Yeah.
I know what I'm going to do, or that, no, that's wrong. I know what we would like to do. But, you know, it is, you know, I know the background of them. And I just think it's just, they're the way I want to go, because the last, I suppose, 10 years, the budgies kind of, for one reason or another, have been a kind of took a back seat. When Dad was really poorly, I just used to go in and feed them, and you can it's hard. It's really hard when you're juggling family and a stud of budgies, and you don't put the time in. It is a time thing. As you know, I'm very involved with the fancy, and that takes up quite a bit of time, whether it is at local club level or at council level. So it is time, and to be honest, I haven't put the time in our stud that I would like to put in. So it takes a little time. So
is this something that you'll change? Have you
yeah,
intention of spending more time?
Yeah, I think there comes a time when I've always been a hands-on fancier. I've always tried to put back in what I've got out, you know? And so by doing, you know, working at shows or at clubs, yeah, it takes a lot of time. You do have to put a lot of hours in. So, and there's only so many hours of the day, you know. So yeah, I'm getting to that stage in life where it's down to me, you know.
Yeah. Just looking back or thinking back to the birds you've just showed us, might be difficult for the members here to pick out your birds and pair them, although we can try it.
Yeah.
I wondered if you might pair up a few for us and
well,
tell us why you've done it.
I'm going to turn the laptop. Is that all right, George?
Yeah.
It's not bad, depending on what you want to do. Oh, hang on.
Is that okay? Yeah. Does it want to be like that?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, bear with me. Bear with me, guys.
Oh, we get to look at those pictures now.
Oh, there's. Can you see? That's Laura.
Oh, we wanted that one. We wanted to see that one, Laura. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Let's see if I can do this. Is that better?
Yeah, so you can get it. You can pick the cages up and poke them in front of your laptop, then, can't you?
Yeah. This is a godsend. This is my budgie bar. This is what I call my budgie bar. So, because now in her own home. When I'm feeding her or doing the soft food, this is where I put all my trays and my pots so I can feed the cages. And I have my book and my records. So as I walk along, I use the budgie bag, and there's storage all underneath. So it's a bit like a breakfast bar, but
Exactly.
it's fabulous.
Good.
So my thoughts are.
And before you say any more, being Harry Hockaday a fan, obviously you are, do you use his method of cock to cock?
No, I don't. I like to balance them out, to be honest and truthful. I try and you know, do it that way.
Okay.
You've mentioned you've got some Hockaday blood there. Do you have any other sort of go-to places to get some fresh blood in, or what's your theory behind, or your practices that you do?
I think you just have to kind of you don't always get what you want, do you? You can't always. So it's a trial and error sort of job, really. But no, I mean the studies. Harry, there is a line of Stan Johnson, which had what's his name? I can't think of his name. It's gone out of my head. Joe Mann's.
You can jump in, Laura, if you need to.
Sorry, yeah, I was going to help out. Sorry.
You're not muted, so if you need help.
Yeah, we went to Alan and Gina Adams. They have some lovely line. We purchased some from there last year. Was it last year, Mum? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I bought 2 dark factors there. That I was hoping to have in my shed this year, but it's not happened. But yeah, we went there. Harry, we went to for 3 years. So he has quite an influence on, especially on our cock side. But yeah, there are. We haven't gone to that many outcrosses, to be honest with you, that we would like to. I think outcrossing is quite important, and I think we need to do a bit more of it.
Yes. So,
are you looking for a particular feature next time you go outcrossing, or have you got everything that you need already? You're just looking for some nice fresh blood, something that you like, or are you going to go feature hunting, so to speak?
I think you always feature hunt. There's always something you look for specifically when you want an outcross. We found with our birds, we don't. We have nice back skull and blow, but we lack size a lot of the time. So size was a feature we went for last year. And
directional feather.
Yeah. So we know what we've got to work on. It's finding it.
yeah, because wherever you go, they're not going to sell you the best birds, are they? So
no, and yeah.
I think the Eno breeders are quite lucky because they can come to us, what I call us normal breeders, and take the best of our opaline, flecked opalines away with them, can't they? If it wasn't flecked, they could never buy them. But obviously, as normal breeders, we don't want them. And as I say, those Eno breeders they're a bit of a lucky wicket there, really, being able to buy our best birds, although flecked,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm guessing that you're some kind of normal person, John.
Yes, I think of myself as a normals breeder. Yes.
Oh, I meant a normal person. Never mind.
No, I didn't say that. Did I say that? I was thinking more of a normals breeder, whereby
normals.
haven't got very many rares.
I get
haven't
it.
got very many rares. In fact, the only rares I've got now are my granddaughter's, because she's stolen 4 out of our 24 cages. So any rares, apart from dilutes, I don't count them as a rare. Apart from she's got them. Bev, carry on.
I've put some together, which is what I kind of got in my head. We will fine tune it when Lou's here, but that's how I'm going to go with that one, and that's the first time, and that's quite a good look. They look one another, so you're halfway there. They like one another. So
I have to ask, is he split for cinnamon?
no, he's not.
Okay.
Not as far as I know. I can go back. How many? I went to 4 years with him, and there's no cinnamon in him.
Just for those that don't know, especially our juniors and our beginners, you've got a normal cockbird there with the cinnamon hen, so they're going to breed all normal looking birds, and all the cockbirds will be split for cinnamon, and all the hens will be normal.
But they look quite. They look quite chummy, so I'm quite happy. And then I'm going to go with that one.
That's style and deportment on the left there, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
And I want the length of the hen into him. Can you see?
Yeah.
Because I think what a lot of people tend to forget, there is an awful lot that goes on behind the perch, below the perch. A lot of people fail to notice that in whatever bird. There's an awful lot of budgie that should goes beyond below the perch. I'll go to this one because they're both on the perch. Is that all right? I can't see because
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Beautiful grey cock. Is that the cock on the left? I'm not sure. Yeah.
No,
That's the hen. Oh,
and,
wow,
and then the light green.
Yeah, no, that's some
I
hen
like-
back skull.
And I'm afraid I do like a bird with a bit of swank. I particularly this dominant pied. I mean, he's not the most wildest. He's very old school. But this hen, this light green hen, and I can get her up. This light green hen is the full sister to the dominant pied hen. So this light green hen that won't come up and perform is her full sister. So this one is this pairing is uncle to niece, which I quite like as a pairing.
You'll have to tell us later on how close you're willing to go with interbreeding.
All I do, I won't go no closer than I like uncle to niece, aunt to nephew, grandfather to granddaughter.
Cousin to cousin, then obviously.
Yeah. Those no, I wouldn't go no closer. I don't. I've only ever done it once, and that was in the Lutinos, and that's going back a few years. We had a particular family, a cracking. I can show you a picture. Can you see that hen?
Yes.
That was the pet. That was we bred 2 chicks from father to daughter pairing, and we bred 2 chicks. We bred that one, which was a stunning Lutino, and we bred an absolute runt. Absolute, it wasn't even a good pet. So it was the 2 extremes. I mean, it was, and she never bred. So that tells you, you know, it's not something I would recommend anyone to do.
Right.
Because you're pairing all the good things and you're pairing all the bad things. So I wouldn't do it again.
Right.
Right, what was I doing?
You were pairing up still, I think, weren't you? Have you got any more?
And then there's got enough hens up. I've got one top bird, and I can't get it any closer.
Okay, yeah, we got that. That's a millet.
Yeah, well, I just thought I'd put something so they come and sat on the perch.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Bev, it might be a good time, since we've been through all your birds there. It's we've been going an hour, and we normally stop for a pee break, because those of us that, have got our bags, we have to go and empty them.
Okay.
Right. So we'll have a tea. Sorry, it's called a tea break. So should we have a tea break about 5-10 minutes, or 10 minutes then, shall we? And what I'll do, I'll go and put the kettle on, and then I'll come back and talk to whoever's still here, not tending their kettles, and then come back in about 10 minutes, and we'll, if it's okay with you, we'll start again, and maybe go through some other things that you want to tell us about.
Okay.
Or maybe show us, some more of the birds in your aviaries that.
Okay. What you want me to catch some up?
That sounds like a good idea. Yeah.
Okay.
You got 10 minutes.
Okay.
Right. See you all in 10 minutes then.
Hey,
You don't have to go anywhere. But I'm gonna go somewhere, and I'll be back. I'm just going to empty my bag, and I'll be back.
What do you think, Laura? Is your mum doing a good job, or is she making a meal of it?
Total ass of herself, which is normal.
No, she's wonderful.
Oh, you're so kind. I bet my daughter won't say that about me.
No? Oh.
Absolutely not. I often get put on the timeout seat, and she's only 3,
Yeah.
How's everybody else finding it? Has anybody got any questions, any thoughts, anything they can't bear to hold in anymore, they need to say, as long as it's to do with budgies? It's silent.
Silence.
Nick,
I've got a question for Laura.
Oh,
hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Adrian. I've got a question for Laura. What does your husband do? What does he think about you having a lovely wife and stuck with budgies?
Well, luckily he's not here to comment. No, he's a gardener. So he used to be a greenkeeper. He worked at a golf course for quite a while. Now he works at the local American cemetery, and he's a gardener there. But no, I've dragged him round to all the shows. I'm sure some of you have met him. But
He's not into budgies.
He's definitely not into budgies. No, he was actually scared of birds when I first met him. He went to a safari park when he was younger, and where you feed the birds, with the little nectar pots. It actually frightened the life out of him. So it took me a good year to actually get him to come to a show. So he's not impressed, but he's got to put up with it, unfortunately.
Does your dad do everything? Don't do nothing with the birds with your mum? Yeah,
he had clear wings for a while, actually. So no, he did do birds for a while. You've muted, Mum. You need to unmute yourself if you want to speak. Can you see it? Bottom left.
I know.
There you
go. I've done it.
Thank you. Yeah, Steve, as I said at the beginning, he came in with his eyes open, bless him, but I don't think he quite understood the enormity of it all, really. So in the early 80s, no, it wasn't. It was early 90s. He decided that if he couldn't beat them, he'd join them. So he one club show, he went round the show, and he particularly liked clear wings. He liked the clear wing variety. One was for the colour, but two was because Dad and I had never kept them, so they were going to be his. So he's had clear wings and was quite successful. Because we only had 20 breeding cages, he had 10 and I had 10, and that was he was towards that was when it was, because he lived in the same house as me, he had to go as a champion. So he was a real raw beginner, but he had to go straight into the champion section. I mean, he did all right. He won CCs and done okay, but he found it towards the end very difficult to get out crosses. And he said, "This is silly. I'm taking up 10 of your breeding cages." He said, and you've got normals there that you could be pairing up instead of the clear wing. So he let Ron Goldsmith have them all, on the understanding that if he wanted to come back in later on, Ron would let him have some birds. So yeah. So yeah, clear wings Dad and Steve had. And I quite like clear wings. I think clear wings are a lovely variety. Dave Wone had a really lovely hen. Clear wing hen the other last year, I think it was, or the year before. I really liked her.
David's here. I'm sure if we can actually ask him. I can't.
Is he?
Yeah, he's watching you.
Hi, Dave.
Yeah, you all right?
I'm very well, thank you, lovely.
I remember Steve's clear wings. He had some nice clear wings in the day.
Say that again.
I remember Steve's clear wings. He had some really nice clear wings.
Yeah, he did. It was quite funny. I can remember him showing at the Specialist in Rail. It was in Coventry, I think.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And was it John Monks? Was it John Monks?
Could be.
It might have been. I think it was John Monks. And he went up to Dad and said, "Yeah, do you know who this is, you know, who's won the CC?" And Dad said, "Yeah, it's Emily's husband." And he went, "Bugger, yeah, that makes sense." And because Steve had won with a olive, it was an olive cock, a yellow and olive. It was stunning. It wasn't the biggest of birds, but it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful because of the contrast with the dark factor and the yellow wings. That was really lovely. It was a really lovely bird, that was. So yeah, I'd like him to have some more, to be honest.
No.
No. No. Well, when you take all the dark facts, Laura, he might have room, you see.
That's true.
He'd rather go fishing, wouldn't he?
Yeah, yes, he would. Or go and watch football. Yeah, he would. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he would. Has anyone got any questions? Host does that. Hi.
Anything. We're supposed to be having a break, but we're all busy carrying on.
Well, it says, what seed do I use? Is that what you asked, Sue? Countrywide, I use the Champion. It's in here. I don't know if you can see this. I'll bring it down. So what I use are these wheelie bins. Can you see?
Yeah.
They're a godsend for weak females. But yeah, that's what I store my stick. I can't. I haven't got used to this. Can you see?
Yeah, I got that.
But there, I've got 4 of those underneath the half plate, and I store all the seed. But it's just easy. You can wheel it out. You can wipe it out, keep it clean. They work really well.
Did you pinch them off the neighbours?
No, did not.
The next street along, you don't nick them off your own street. You've got to get them off the street next.
You know me so well. No, I think they're called Wheelie Direct. I think if you go online and put in, you get them different sizes, so different. I've got one that I teach the easy bed in for the bottoms of the cages and the flights. But I find them really good because you can wheel them out, and it seems that you don't have to hump, steam bags around really. So yeah, works really good for me.
Just a suggestion. Before we get back into seeing the birds, we're getting a build-up of questions. George, do you fancy going through a few?
We've kind of been doing it whilst you've been away, John. We're kind of on track.
Are we?
We didn't actually mean to do that. We were just having a yap, and then it kind of one thing led to another, and then we were in Beverly's cupboard, and now we're all here. And I think there's Nicola started talking about her toys. I think she's also talking about the budgies toys. So,
Yeah, I think that's what's really lovely is you can always learn and pick up tips from places you go, and I particularly I think I'd seen it on one of Nikki's posts where I've always put cat balls in the flights. And in the baby cages for many years, the ones that are like the little golf balls, with holes in. But I've always done that because I always like to keep them occupied. But what I thought was a really good idea was the cable ties and suspending them because they do like to play. They need to be stimulated and they need things to do. And plastic is very good. But I think, you also need to have wood and things for them to gnaw because it's a natural instinct for them. So plastic is all very well, but they do need to have that, I think, that wood to gnaw because it's normal to them. I don't know how people feel about that, but,
So we have got quite a big question here, and it says, so there's two big questions here. I'm already reading two. The first one is, what is your feeding regime and soft food ingredients? If it's going to be a massive answer, maybe we can do it after we've seen your birds.
I'll let Laura answer that. She's the nutritionist of us two. So don't look at me like that, Laura.
Unmute.
Unmute. There we go. So our feeding regime's probably quite basic in the realms of what people can do, but we feed tonic once a week. We don't feed it every day, and then it's canary and millet from Countrywide. We found we had a line of hens that were particularly aggressive towards the chicks, and we found once we reduced the tonic, actually had quite a big impact on our attacks to chicks. So that's why we done that.
Laura, can I interrupt there? Is this a tonic seed or some sort of tonic that went in the water? What were you feeding?
No, tonic seed.
So it's a bought-in Countrywide type tonic seed with the aniseed and all the bits and pieces in it. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine. It was the seed we found. They'd eat. I don't know whether people find that if you feed millet, canary and tonic, they'll always eat tonic first. It's quite a draw to a budgie, the tonic seed. I don't know what it is exactly, but they tend to like it the most. So we feed that once a week. Our soft food, again, is a very high protein mix. We try and feed a variety of veg and egg, carrot, broccoli, all the normal veg-based mix to it. we add spirulina. Mum, what are the other? I can't think.
Seaweed.
Seaweed,
We
garlic,
Yeah.
walnuts.
Just give it, yeah.
Yeah.
Oats, and we put, that's the base of it. Oats, I put as the base. But yeah, it's just a good platform to introduce the birds to different things and give a variety. There's no fix. No fix. They like parsley. Ours has always had parsley, fresh parsley put in. I put garlic in it. All sorts of things, really. I think it's just giving them a variety is really important. A broad variety of, So,
do you think that protein is a high protein diet is important?
I just what we do during the year, they're on a very basic mix of feed and water, and then as we come up to breeding season, I start then by putting the soft food in and bringing them in, because you want them to come into full fitness, don't you? So we use Kilpatrick's minerals and what's the other one? I can't think of it off the top of my head. That's it, Palm over. So yeah, it's just up in the ante, really. And it's a very fine line, because you want them to be fit and bouncing, but you don't want them that having that balance before they go too fit, go over, because I find then, as Laura said, we had one particular year where we had a lot of chicks attacked, and it was because we'd overdone it, so it's a very fine line, and she's better at that than me.
Okay, you talked about bringing that you're not worried about the ring dates, and yet you're thinking of putting your birds down shortly or pairing up, which should actually be perfect for the new rings, shouldn't it?
Yeah. Well,
how do you actually do anything to bring your birds into condition to go into those cages? Do you do anything different other than your condition once a week? Is there anything you do differently just before pairing up?
We just introduced the soft food and the seeds. We just start that in the next. As Laura, all being well, I'm out of self-isolation, and then I shall start this in the next week. The soft food, giving it to them in the flight. And then as we put the top birds in, they'll have that, and then we'll put the hens in, and then we'll leave them a week. Although I think this pair that's right beside me is decided that they like one another quite a lot, and they're quite happy together. So yeah. If that answer, I'm sorry, you keep breaking up. I'm sorry.
Oh, it did. You answered the question. Thank you very much. George has asked the question, not Viking George, but George's iPad, and he asks, do you use preventative medicines before the breeding season?
In what way? What do you mean with preventative?
Maybe, I don't know, do you give them Ronivet a couple of weeks before the breeding season? Maybe you ivermectin them, anything else? Do you do anything else?
They've had their Ronivet, they've been done. And the only other thing we do is we had a particular, well, it was since I put this new bird room, I've never had red mite, and then I had an influx of red mite, and I was absolutely horrified. So now what I do is the S76, so they're on that. So they have that every month. Just keep that's about it really. I have ivermectin at some point, but since we've been using that S76, that's been fine. I use the I can't think what it's called. It's got a blank. Hold on. We used the mill band. I couldn't think what it was called, but I've been told that you can't get that now. So, pardon?
I said so here. I've had a few people trying to get some, and
yeah, well, I've still got some, but I've heard that you can't get it. But that's brilliant stuff for the breeding. Because what I tend to do is I do all down the crevices of the cages, just paint it, and then I put some around the nest box, and it's just prevention, yeah. So, but it's like anything that's any good, I seem to discontinue, or you can't get it anymore. Yeah. You know.
While we're talking about red mite, because it might come up later. So, do you use anything else? You said you got your mill band. Do you use maybe AIL or
I've got
Dematriosis earth or whatever it's called? I can never get the name right, but
diatomaceous.
Well, say it again.
I won't remember, George.
Yeah, that's AIL.
Yeah, brilliant
good stuff. Yeah, there's just, I mean, I've tried everything. I just use, I've got a high-level medical disinfectant. Laura gets me Hibby scrub. I've got that as a hand which they use in the veterinary practices. So that's it's a hand sanitizer.
No alcohol in it, is there, Bev?
Don't think so.
I only ask, but it's not good for birds if there is, that's all.
No, it's no alcohol. It's chlorhexidine.
Okay, great.
So that's just a good. I mean, that's just it's just good stuff, really. Yeah. I just think you just.
One last question on the preventative medicines. Do you treat for megaback maybe once a year or twice a year?
Yes,
do you use that? What do you use?
Well,
we can hear you.
Well, can you say it again?
Yes, I was just asking if you treat for megaback on a yearly or twice yearly basis. Is that something you do or you don't?
Well, I haven't done. I used to run vet, but I haven't done. No.
No. Okay. Well, I think everyone would like to have another look at your birds. If you did you manage to catch any more up?
Well, I've caught. A minute.
While you're doing that, I have a quick chat to Laura. So, Laura, you'd love to breed a yellow-faced violet, presumably.
Yes, yeah, that's my favourite colour.
What about golden face? Even more so?
Even better, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's something that Nicola and I have always wanted to breed, and it's not happened. So there you go.
Yeah, I think it's always what you want desperately. You just struggle, don't you? And we chuck out loads of normals, greys, pieds. We've had quite a lot last year, and I don't like pieds. So.
I don't like pieds very much because I can't breed a good one.
No,
I mean, just cannot. It doesn't matter how much we try. 3 years of breeding pieds and can't breed a good one. I've had some pied, like one pied to a normal, bred some brilliant normals, and every pied they bred was like a rubbish. So no, we can't breed a good pied, but we keep saying we're not going to bother anymore, and then someone offers us a pied, and we think, oh, I'll give it a cage.
Yeah.
Is that why you keep getting all these pet pieds, is it?
Yeah, exactly. I cannot breed a decent pied. It's there you go. I've never been. I was going to say I've never been a lover of dominance, but then again, I've done quite well. Or Nicola's done well with with yellow faces and golden faces some years ago, so or a couple of years ago. So it's nothing wrong with the dominant. It's just that pied.
Nikki's saying you've never bred a decent budgie, to be honest. So.
Can I argue with her?
You say that.
All I do is keep them fit and fed well, and she, you know, without doubt, she's the one. She's the one with the eye. The only reason I've never bred a decent budgie is she won't let me pair them up.
Probably because she doesn't want to ruin her stud in like one fell swoop. The whole lot would be destroyed.
Yeah. No, she does use a lot of my you know, systems. She said probably one she'd worked out herself anyway. But you know, my own experience of breeding parrot-like goes back 50 odd years, and you know, I was breeding Australian grass parakeets 50 odd years ago. And I'll tell you, what's the difference between a splendid and a budgie? Nothing. So, you know, there you go.
Well,
no,
Nick has given us instructions, and now we have to mute you. I hope you don't mind.
No, right, go on, mute me. Why? What's happening?
I don't know. I'm not getting into the middle of it. I'm just going to do what I'm told.
If I'm talking to him, listen, I don't talk as much as Bev, do I?
You don't talk as much as well.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were listening, Bev.
I heard that.
I can be quiet. I can be silent but deadly.
No, don't be quiet. You just carry on as you are. Get them birds ready, because we need to see some of your more of your fantastic birds. They're a bit special what you sold. Showed us earlier.
So when you get your new bird room going, Laura, are you gonna? You've got all your birds at your mum's at the moment. Are you gonna bring in some more to top it up, or are you just gonna start with what you've got? I know that might be COVID dependent, so it might be a difficult question to answer. But what do you want to do?
Yeah, no, I think I'm going to start with what we've got. I've got a couple of ideas with those at the moment, anyway. So yeah, and then from there, I would like to get a couple of outcrosses in. And I know what I want with those, so yeah, I hope to, but mainly use the stuff that I've got already.
And what about breeding cages? Plastic, wooden? Where are you going to get them, or do you not know?
Oh yeah, so help me out. I don't. Plastic. So we bought some new cages in at Mum's, plastic ones, and there's a few things that we don't like about those.
Yeah, I have those. Those are the BJS and Worcester ones, and
yeah.
I have to admit, I wouldn't get them again. I mean, don't get me wrong; they were good enough, and they weren't bad for value. But well, I know where I'll get my next ones from, but I want to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah, and obviously when we visited Alan and Gina, they used the wire cages, and I there was a few pros to that I liked, but again, I don't think wire is the route that I want to go. But again, they are good for certain things.
Does money matter, Laura?
What's money?
Well, if money doesn't matter, then you might as well buy, in my opinion, the best plastic cages in the world, and that's from Samwell.
Yeah.
They're just the best.
Yeah. Yeah, no, fantastic job of Mum's flight. So, and yeah, I've heard very good things. So I'm definitely going to look at that route.
Good. Right, George, what else are you talking about?
Well, I always lose my flow because you keep interrupting.
Well, you know, that's what we do now. Me and you, we interrupt each other.
Actually, I have no idea what I was going to say. I was just having a dig there for fun.
Well,
someone asked a question. Do you guys breed cinnamon to cinnamon and opaline to opaline? That is a good question, Alan. Well done.
Yes.
So you can answer that, Laura, whilst your mum's busy. Do you breed cinnamon to cinnamon and opaline to opaline?
We have paired cinnamon to cinnamon. We don't do it very often. It depends. And we don't breed opaline to opaline, not normally. Only because, to be honest, the opalines that we have in our studs are usually very heavy. So we don't tend to double up on that. But cinnamon to cinnamon, we did it. Mum is so much better at knowing what we've paired. She is the Mum, cinnamon last year.
Yeah.
Someone's asked about cinnamon to cinnamon.
I have paired cinnamon to cinnamon and will pair cinnamon to cinnamon. Yeah, 'cause I don't mind it at all. What was the other question?
We don't tend to do opaline to opaline, do we?
No, I wouldn't. I can remember doing it at Dad's. One time we paired. They were two absolutely, really beautifully clean opaline cinnamon sky blues, and the chicks that came from it were absolutely as black could be. They were so heavily flecked, and we never did it again. But no, I just think you just have to weigh it up from the birds. But I don't mind cinnamon to cinnamon.
We've got another question. Sorry,
okay.
do you want to give that? George, do you want to go for that?
Yeah,
Alan's?
I'll carry on. It says, do you like having grey in your pairings? So what about grey factors?
I love greys. I love greys. I think they're one of my favourites, to be honest, a good normal grey. I do like the normal grey. Yeah, I would pair. I've got no problem with pairing grey to grey.
We've heard some people say that they always like to have at least one grey in every pairing that they make. How do you feel about that?
If my greys were good enough, yes, I wouldn't have a problem. I like, as long as they're, birds of quality.
So you said birds, it's the birds of quality there. I think it's quite right. I think that a lot of people still put an awful lot of connection with the colour to the quality, when perhaps it's just the quality of the bird and the colour are maybe separate. Well, I think that they are separate. However, some people think they are connected. What do you think?
Well, I just think, I don't always think you should take much heed of colour. If the bird, I just think if you've got a bird, irrespective, I think sometimes people put too much on colour, personally, but I don't know how anybody else feels, whether they've got any feeling on it, but I really don't. I think as long as you're sensible and sorry, I'm just trying to multitask here, and I need my glasses, and no, I just think, as long as the pair looks right.
What about you, Laura? What do you think? We'll let your mum get on.
Sorry, she's quite distracted. Yeah, no, I when we've paired before and had a particular pairing that is poor on colour, sometimes feature takes over colour. So I think if a feature you're wanting in the bird is more important than the colour at that pairing, then that's what takes place, isn't it? But I
think that's why we seem to have quite a lot of dominant pies at present. I never paired up to get dominant pies, but they just that particular family had a feature that we were lacking, and that's why we've got lots of dominant pies, I think, because they carried the where we wanted to go, really. Sorry, I'm trying to get these birds into some sort of...
Are you quite close there, or should we carry on?
Yeah, no, go on. I'm nearly there. I've just caught a few up so you can see a few. And I have to take my glasses off. Oh, age is not good.
It's only a number.
Fine wine.
I know, but it's right. Let's see if I can help you. Yeah. I'm not very good at this, guys.
Only a number, Bev. Don't worry about age.
Oh no, I'm not worried. No, I'm not worried about age. But
look how
things don't work.
look. 71, brilliant.
I must admit, I'm struggling with my eyes at the moment, so just bear with me.
All right.
So I've just caught him up out the right. I quite like him, but again, he's very old school, and that's where we need to move our birds on, because we have got a very old, not that there's anything wrong with that, but we just need to get to be in line with how the birds are moving on. We need to just move them on a little bit. They're very old. Can you see?
So with this chap here, is there a few things that you would particularly want to improve on him? So
I would like him. He needs that little bit more to the back. He needs a little bit more length.
His spot is quite poor.
But that's the Stan Johnson line. And Stan had some wonderful birds. This cinnamon actually doesn't, he looks better in the flight, but he doesn't like a show cage. But again, that's an old-fashioned type of bird. And birds have moved on so much. So very much.
Do you keep quite a young stud? Do you try and breed them
Yes.
quite young, or do you hang on a bit? Or
No, I like a young stud. I don't keep many old ones, to be honest and truthful, unless they're particularly. You have favourites, don't you, in your stud? And this cockbird breeds so much better than himself. I don't know if you can see him. I'm struggling. But he's the father of that really good baby grey, and this is his last chick he bred this year. So he was June, but what are we now? No, May bred. But he's really a baby. But I really like what this cockbird breeds. I really love him. There's another grey. But again, that's and then there's another baby light green. I've been working, or I should say we've been working with the light greens, because I do quite like a nice light green. And then this is a baby. Not so. And he's about the same age. I'm going to pull him nearer.
How old is he, Bev?
He's about the same age. It's about May time.
Okay.
So he's quite young. But that's the moment. He's settling now, that grey-green.
Nice face.
Yeah, that's one thing Stan did have. He was a local chap that had been in it many years, and was one of the gentlemen of the fancy, and I had a lot of respect for Stan. He had some lovely birds. He was one of the chaps that always came to club, and you'd speak to him during the meeting and say, what sort of meeting, what sort of year have you had, Stan? And he'd go, oh, yeah, it's been all right, nothing, you know. And you could guarantee he would come out every year with a stunning budgie. You know, he was just so, you know, he was lovely.
What's that? Was that the chap you said earlier on that had an influence from Mannis, maybe? Did you say Mannis?
Yes, yeah, he did. He used to go to Joe. But I mean,
well, I can see it in that face, on that bird.
You've got the king of dilutes watching tonight. So But Stan had some.
Nicola Bird, is that right?
only if you want to wind David up, yeah.
But he had some fabulous dilutes, and they used to turn up. They ran through stuff, and they just used to appear. Yeah, I had a lot of time for Stan, and I see Dave put a post that, about the old. What did you put, Dave? I saw it come up. The old
birds are the new modern birds.
Yeah, and I totally agree, because I think we as fanciers control where the birds are going, and I think there's an awful lot to be said about, you know, having that shaped deportment. We mustn't lose that, because there is nothing better than a budgie that has. Sorry?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing Stan Johnson always had: size, shape, and deportment.
He did. He didn't have a massive stud, but that was something that ran through his birds were beautiful. They were lovely, and I think the grey green is settling now. And if I could have that, if I could have what Stan had, I'd be one happy lady, because I think, you know, we hold where the birds are going in our hand, and it's down to us to secure their future by not being silly and ruin them, to be honest and truthful. You know, and I think you have to be true to yourself in your bird room and breed, you know, what you like. And if they don't win on the show bench, then so be it. But, you know, I think you have a kind of duty to them, really, because who wants a stud of birds that don't fly? I don't, you know. And I can remember many years ago, we had, Dad and I used to go to LEA, because LEA was more friendlier than South Midlands then. And when we were novices, we were part of the LEA. We used to go to the LEA meetings, although we were not in the area. We used to go there, and they had a seminar at Springfield, and on that panel, and that's going back a few years, on the panel was Ron Pierce, John Punchard, Red Crossman, and Jim Warren. That was the panel, and the question was, where do you see the budgerigars going in 10 years' time? You know, what was the predictions? And it went along, and I can remember the question getting to John, and John said, we will breed a budgerigar that can't fly. And everyone thought he was, you know, there was the sky. But he was really quite right, you know. It's frightening, you know, that I would hate to think that that's what, you know, is down the line for a budgerigar, you know, that they can't fly.
Do you think, Bev, that maybe just a few years ago, when I came into the fancy, that the budgies were getting more extreme, and maybe if we'd had a show season this year, I wonder, do you think we'd have seen them coming back a bit rather than the extreme birds? Do you think that we'd have seen a slimmer, more in condition looking bird, if that makes sense to you?
I don't know. I think we're all, as fanciers, we're very aware of the type of birds that are being bred, and I think it's our duty that we have to rein it in. To be honest and truthful, you know, you can't. I mean, the birds have gone on, and I think there are certain pivotal birds that have been through the years. There are certain birds that I can remember. One was a Lucino cock of Watts. Was it Watts? I think it's Watts. That was a stunning bird. Toplesses, cinnamons were another, and then Pilkingtons. Their birds were a kind of they're pivotal birds. What's his name? Les Martin's grey green was another pivotal bird. There are certain birds that appear. Another bird was O'Rourke and Sadler's dark green. I can remember seeing that at the convention at Harrogate, and it came, I think, 7th in its class, I think. And then it was an amazing budgie, you know. And but they were. What I'm trying to get over, the birds seem to jump, and there's certain birds that win at a certain time, and it takes it to the next level. And I think Les Martin's grey green was the kind of pivotal bird. It was when it first appeared that signified this next jump. I'm not a very good person with words, but do you see what I'm trying to get at? You know, there are, I don't know if anyone can help me, but do you see what I'm trying to say?
Maybe Laura can have a word here, because she'll know what Mum thinks.
She won't.
She will.
No, I think what she's getting at is there's jumps in the birds that are seen over the years that are feather changing or directional feather, and I think with that comes additional issues or problems with the birds that you are going to get, and it is expected. It's not that, you know, it's a style that's changed and seen and has effects on the birds, but it's important that they are managed in a way that don't have detrimental welfare effects on the bird.
Exactly, that's what I was trying to say.
I knew she'd know what you were trying to say. So, should we go?
Exactly.
We've got, I think, a couple more questions here. George, you're the man on the questions. Go on.
Oh, I haven't actually been paying attention this time. Hang on,
Oh,
let me go and have a quick.
Okay. I think the next one is from Alan again, Alan Dutton. No, we did that one. Everything blah, 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 bringing fresh. Everything depends on the background. Do you bring in fresh blood on a regular basis?
I do. Yeah.
Yes. So how many birds would that be per year as outcrosses?
I don't think, we don't try, we just, if there's something that comes up that we like and it's a feature that we think we can use, then, you know, because you sometimes go to places and you don't get offered what you want or what you need. So what's the point in buying it if you can't move it on? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. So you go to a place, have a look round. If you don't see the feature you want, you're going to walk out without anything, yeah?
Yeah, you're the buyer. So, you know, actually, you don't. We try to bring something in each year. Definitely. Yeah. Like I said, last year we went up and saw Alan and Gina, and we brought something. So yes, I mean, what will happen this year, I don't know. So.
All right. Well, next question is would you use a bird without a tail, even if it's a top quality looking bird, no tail?
If I've got a bird, I don't like using them if they've got feather faults. You won't see any here with cysts or anything like that because I don't like to use them. Sometimes they develop, but I really don't like that at all, to be honest and truthful. To reinforce that is when I put the bird room here, when I put the bird room back, when I moved here and put the bird room up, Dad said to me, where do you want to go? Because he was going to keep all the Enos. We kind of came to that decision that he was going to have all the Enos because they were easy for him to look after, and I was going to take the normals. And because we'd let the normals slip, because I hadn't been to the bird room, because when I first moved I didn't have a bird room, so if ever my enthusiasm waned, it was right in those days when I was first married, because I didn't have a bird room. So when I got the bird room here, I said I'd like to go and see Jim Moffat, who we'd bought birds off before, and Jim had some stunning birds, cracking budgerigars. So I said I'd like to go see Jim. To cut a long story short, we arranged to go and see him. We were going to go and see him when he'd come back off his holiday. He never came back off his holiday because he died on holiday. So we never went back. We never got there. So next question, Dad said, where do you want to go? And that was when Frank Silver was seen. So I said, I'd like to go and see Frank. So we went and saw Frank. Because the normals had really kind of drifted and were kind of in limboland, I brought 8 pairs back. He gave me the net and told me to go and pick what I wanted from the flight. I brought 8 pairs back. And paired those up. They bred really well, and one particular pair bred exceptionally well, which were a family of cinnamons, and they were stunning budgies. And I bred about 10 from this pair, and they were really lovely. But as they molted through, they didn't molt. Some didn't have flights one side, and the tails, and there was these cockbirds, and I kid you not, they were stunning budgies. And I had a set of monster cages. Because I only had 20 breeding cages, I didn't have anywhere to put the youngsters. So Dad, as a Christmas present, bought me a stack of monster wire cages. So when I took the youngsters away, I could put them into the wire cages, so I didn't have to take any hair down. And I put all these, they were all cinnamons, and they were all cinnamon-like greens, and there was about 8 cockbirds, which were absolutely fabulous. I put them in this bottom of these monster cages, and Dad came round one day, and he went, what are you going to do? Why are they all down there? And I said, I'm working up to having to put them down. So he said, what do you mean, put them down? So I said, well, you look at them, Dad. I said, they've got so many feather problems. I said, I really don't want to run that through the stud. So I said, I can't pass them on to anyone. And if I keep them, I'm going to want to pair some of them up because their head quality was fabulous. And I said, I really don't want, and honestly, I put all of them birds down. And as I was doing it, the tears were running down my face because I was crying, because I just didn't want that feature, you know. So I think you have to sometimes make a decision whether you want that. And so, no, I wouldn't use it.
You've answered it perfectly, and thank you for such an honest answer. So we've got a question here from Mike Simpson, who's asked, I think there should be a limit on the size of birds. At the moment, there's a rule, isn't there? They've got minimum 8.5 inches or whatever it is, but should there be a limit on the size?
Oh, we have got.
There's no limit on the biggest size. Is there only a limit on the lower, on the shortest? With the BS, as far as I understand it, there is no limit on the size of the budgie can be shown.
No, there isn't. It says 8.5 inches, doesn't it?
Is that not the minimum?
And an 8.5 inches budgerigar is a massive budgie. You know, when you actually look at 8.5 inches in that, which is balanced, and I think if you can hold that thought in your head, you know, I think that's, you know, I think if you can remember size, shape and deportment at all times, you can't go wrong.
No, I totally agree with you, but as far as I understood it, the only limit on size was when you look at an exhibition budget was the minimum. I didn't think there was a maximum. Can someone else put me right? If I'm wrong, I apologise, but I thought there was a...
John, yeah, it's the minimum 8.5 inches.
It's a minimum, yeah.
So there's no maximum. So we could have a budgie of 12 inches long, couldn't we?
15 inches if you want.
Yeah. So
can you imagine what that would look like?
Well, that's why I'm asking you, really. Have you got any thoughts on how should the BS? I don't want to get politics here. I don't do politics in this club. But should there be a limit on the size of our budget?
Well, I think yes. In a word, yes, you can have a limit. And I think as long as I always tried to have a balanced budgie, because it's a thing of beauty, whether it be 9 inches, as long as it's balanced and everything fits, it's a no-brainer in my eyes. But yes, I think you should have. Sorry, I'm getting a bad neck. I'm gonna lower it.
I'll tell you what, Bev, I've kept you chatting too long with all these questions, but unless we go to your birds, we're not going to have time. So can we go and you picked out some birds for us? Can I ask you to show them to us? Would you mind?
I've been along. I've just caught what in the flights or these.
Okay.
We did have a look at them, John. Did you forget?
No, but I think Bev's put up some more, hasn't she?
Yeah, I've shown you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've told you my memory. Well, we can carry on with the questions then if you want.
I'm going to have to go and get my charger because my battery is running low.
Go on then, I'll have a chat to Laura then.
You can chat to Laura. I'm just going to go and get the plug it in, okay?
Okay. Sorry about that, Laura, putting that one on you.
No, that's okay.
My memory was bad, and I thought Mum had been and caught up another load and we hadn't seen them, so I've got to give this job away to somebody else who can remember better than me. So, now this is good for you, Laura. Where do you think we're going to be in 10 years from now in the hobby? Come on, this is a toughie for you.
I don't know. I'd like to think that we'll be in a better place. We've been dwindling with numbers for a while now, and I'm as a younger fancier. There's been constraints to me when I've gone through the hobby that I thought have been a bit unfair. I mean, for example, I sat my driving test 10 years ago, but I still can't be a judge yet. And it wasn't until I joined my mum that I could do that. So I think they need to be more up and coming to younger people, and that they need to let them be more free to be able to make choices that they, if a test at the end of the day tests you on something that you need to do to qualify to be something, then regardless of your age, you should be able to do that if you've got the experience to do it. So I have my own qualms with that, but yeah, no, I think I'm 27 years old now, and it's taken me till now to be able to sit my judges test, which I think is quite poor. So right. Yeah,
So where's the hobby going to be in 10 years time? What's going to happen? Are we just, well, no, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. You tell me.
No, I'd like it to be here because I'd like to be a part of it. But I don't know. I don't know.
Less shows, bigger shows that's left, or what? What's the answer in your view? What do we need to do to progress the fancy forward? Is there anything we can do in your mind as a younger person? What can we do? And maybe I could ask you as well, what can we do to entice more younger people into the hobby?
I think with the hobby, it's very demanding on a younger person. I don't think the mental and attitudes of younger people these days are of that they have the responsibility of livestock. And I kind of look back and think, actually, if I didn't have my granddad and mum in it, would I be doing budgies? Probably not, because it's a generation now of I remember being at school and I say, oh, what have you got as your pet? And it was budgerigars, and that was weird because it isn't a thing. It isn't a thing. It's not popular, and it was a bit odd. So, but as with any hobby or interest, I think there is that element within birds that it's not normal, and it's not something that people are familiar with. So it's not that way. But I think if you have an interest in birds and you're wanting to be in birds, it should be very accessible for you and made nice. So yeah.
Good, thank you very much indeed. I think we should, it's 9:30, and I will have my wrist slapped later on by our secretary Tony for taking too long to finish. But I have to ask Bev, ask to unmute. Bev, unmute yourself. I'd like to ask Bev the same question, really. You all right? Can you hear me, Bev? Can you hear me, Bev? Hello?
I think when she left the room, her earphones have disconnected from the computer, and it's going to be a real pain to connect them again.
Is it? Right,
Well,
that's a shame because
but it might be.
No, I wanted to ask Bev the same question. Really, was how do you see the hobby in 10 years' time? I think it's a very important question if we can get it back on.
Stop speaking, then, John. Bev, can you hear us and can you answer? No.
Ah, it's a shame. Okay, well,
I also think those earphones are. I think they're running out of battery because it's been sound all night.
Well, they've lasted well, haven't they? Really, George. We've done. I think we've done well to keep her on right to the end. It's brilliant. So I'd like to finish off then. It's gone 9:30, and that's the time that we're due to finish. I'd just like to thank Beverly and Laura so much for letting us into your bird room tonight and telling us all about yourselves and about your hobby as you see it, about your birds. And I must admit, I personally am very impressed with the quality of your birds and for showing them to us. And I'm sure everyone else agrees. So I'd like to thank you. And that's, and I'll sort of close the evening.
Yeah, I'll speak on behalf of Mum then, because she's obviously can't hear.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you so much. It's been a great evening.
Good. Well,
and thank you for having us.
Well, I hope your mum have enjoyed it as much as we have listening to you. We've all certainly learnt a lot, as we always do. You know, whenever you go to a bird room, I know I do. You learn something every
Laura?
time you talk.
Oh, you're back,
Can you hear
David.
me?
Yeah.
How do I turn it up? It's gone very quiet.
Can you hear us, Beverly?
How do I turn it up?
I think it's probably coming out of your computer. So in the bottom right-hand corner,
Bottom
is it coming out of your
right-hand
computer?
corner.
Yeah. Bottom
It
right-hand
was-
corner, you have a little
A minute.
speaker volume button.
I can't find it.
Okay, I think, well, you've missed it now, but we were kind of going to end the evening at 9:30 anyway.
Okay. I'm really sorry, but I've lost it completely.
It's okay, and the sound. Yeah, so, well, John was just thanking you very much for your lovely talk, if you can hear us still. No.
No, she's gone.
Pass it on for us, Laura, when you speak.
Yeah, I
later,
will. Yeah, I will.
All right.
I can just hear you. I'm
know
really
you-
sorry, but I can just hear you. I hope everyone's enjoyed it.
Absolutely, Bev. I assure you, everyone has loved it. So thank you again. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on our having you on our through the Keyhole, and we've enjoyed it very much. Thank you very, very much. And it's good night from me, and it's good night from him.
Good night from me.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye. Take care. Stay
Yeah,
safe.
bye.
Good night.
Bye.